But if you go and brave the weird and haunted shores at world's end, then you will need a captain who knows those waters.
What's up, guys? This is Ironhide X coming to you with another guide. This time I'm doing a guide on the Tier 7 American cruiser, the Pensacola. So let's jump right in. For modules, upgrades, I use the accuracy mod. I use the fire prevention minus flooding thing, and I use the rudder shift time. Everybody should know what those are. You could also go with the AAA. A lot of people do that. For crew skills on my captain, I use all of the survivability ones I can get, followed by AA. I use the gun traverse one, and my next mod, which is probably one of the most important, is advanced firing training, which gives you an additional 20% AA. And so that's the modules I use real quick, and the captain suit. Now let's look at actually how to fight the ship and how to own stuff with this. Alright, so here we are in a match in the Tier 7 Pensacola. We'll be going over the strengths, weaknesses, how to actually fight the ship, and the best tactics, I think, for being successful in this ship. So one of the most important things, guys, with this ship is being what I like to call slippery. And that is twisting and turning and doing everything you possibly can to make sure the enemy doesn't citadel you. Getting hit regular for 2,000 damage is no big deal. Getting hit by a battleship for 20,000 can ruin your game. So, how do you prevent yourself from getting citadeled? Well, proper angling and being slippery is the #1 way to do it. Whenever you have shells coming at you like this, it's much harder for the enemy to citadel you. You present a smaller target, plus you actually have armor on your ship that when they hit your ship in from that angle, they almost never citadel you. And so that's why you want to blade yourself as much as possible. But with Pensacola, this thing turns well enough that you can actually just avoid fire. Now, what happens if you show your broadside? This right here is the Pensacola, and these little boxes I've drawn are pretty much your citadels. So when you do show your broadside to an enemy ship, you see how many it got, and they're really quite large. So when you do show your broadside, this is where you're going to get hit, and taking a shell in any one of those boxes pretty much will cause a citadel hit, and that's really bad. So that's why whenever I angle the ship, guys, in here, and I'm twisting and turning to avoid fire, it's to prevent the enemy from hitting those boxes flat on. So keep a close eye on my rudder shift bar and the compass, because even when I'm on sniper view, I'm going to be maneuvering like crazy. I'm constantly turning, constantly moving, and you can even kind of fool guys into firing at you, because a lot of cruiser captains will just keep on continuing a turn, and I often go back and forth. So let's go back to the gameplay. So in this match, it's a Tier 8 match. There's a lot of ships that can do quite a lot of damage. Amagis, New Orleans, New Orleans, and destroyers and all that. So one of my primary goals for me in a cruiser is I want to try to protect my battleships if I can from anti-aircraft, from airplanes using my AA. The Pensacola does have amazing AA. And I also want to kill the enemy destroyers, and I want to kill the enemy cruisers. I prefer to go after them over the battleships first, because I can easily citadel other cruisers with the Pensacola's 203mm guns with AP. They will easily punch through them. Versus destroyers, I shoot only high explosive if I have it loaded. As you'll see later on, if I've only got AP loaded, though, I'm going to sling that and then swap to HE. So my primary goal is I want to come up here, I want to start skirmishing, trying to get some early damage in, and make sure they don't get any sneaky destroyers in to get my battleships, and just kind of skirmishing. Now, another thing you do as being kind of farther up than your battleships is that when a enemy destroyer launches torpedoes, you can detect them for your team. And that'll end up saving your battleships quite a lot of hit points just by them not getting a stealth torpedo. So again, just constantly turning left and right. I don't want to be an easy target for the enemy cruisers. If they're smart, they're going to be targeting me as well, because cruisers really can do quite a lot of damage. Battleships can as well. Definitely not knocking battleships, but I like to kill cruisers first, because if I'm in a battleship or a cruiser, they spam me with HE, and it's just it can really knock down your hit points. So right now, paying attention to the map, I'm watching where my team is. I'm watching where the enemy team is. I want to stay at my maximum effective gun range, which for me on this ship is all the way out. The closer you get, guys, the more accurate you are, but the higher the risk. Really remember that. But in my opinion, doing damage supersedes anything else. So if you can't hit at max range, get close enough till you can. If you're not doing damage, you were pretty much a useless ship. Again, whenever you're skirmishing with this many ships, try to stay out of Cypher view if you can, and pay attention to who's shooting at you, and then try to know their reload. So if a battleship's shooting at you and he just fired, you know you got about 30 seconds before he's reloaded and he's going to fire again. So try to keep track of the people that are shooting at you and what's shooting at you, their reloads, and that'll enhance your survivability a great deal in a match. So here I slammed on the brakes because I want to kill this cruiser, but I don't want to expose myself to the enemy fire for the ships that are behind that cruiser. I'm already potentially getting shot at by the two ships on the left. I don't want to add to it. So I hit the brakes there, but the fleet's moving up, so I'm going to continue advancing along with them. One of the big things I see is you'll have a battleship or something go forward, and then his teammates won't support him. Try to hang in there, guys. If you are angling towards the enemy ship, and you got a couple ships with you, you'd be surprised just how many ships you can take on, just because you're angling properly. And it helps a lot if you hit your little ping indicator to focus fire. I didn't do it this time, but I should have been. So see, I was shooting AP at him. I killed their first cruiser, and now I want to keep working on the second. Now you saw I just took some shells from the right hand side. I'm aware of that battleship that's over there, so I'm sticking my nose kind of more towards the cruiser here. I'm going to fire off this salvo, and the reason why I'm going to angle more to the right is because of that battleship that's over there to my right. I know he just fired though, so I had a little bit of time, and so now I'm angling this way. I'm expecting another shot from him very shortly. And so that's why I moved my ship in this direction in this battle, and here it comes. So I saw the fire coming, and I go hard right to avoid his shots. And that's really the name of the game. Keep track of who's shooting at you, and maneuver, maneuver, maneuver. Never stop maneuvering. If you go in a straight line, that's really going to get you killed quick. Because you don't have a repairability until tier 9 in cruisers, your HP is really precious. So conserving that hit points while still doing the maximum damage is super, super important. So the strengths and the weaknesses of the the Pensacola. The two biggest strengths I'll say is the guns. You have really, really good guns. The AP rounds on this will punch through any other cruiser in the game really well, and Citadel them really nicely. You also have amazing anti-aircraft ability, and you also have it's a very nimble ship. It turns really well. It has a nice quick rudder, so it's really easy to dodge fire, and that's why I actually prefer this ship over the Cleveland, because it can dance better and it has better guns. I prefer this 203mm setup over the Cleveland's derpy. And the only real downside to the ship is, like I said, from the side you can get Citadel very easily. So I saw that Amagi just shoot at me. He hadn't been shooting at me, but since he started, I can't let an Amagi that's that close sit there and bang away on me. So I'm going to stick my ass to that enemy cruiser, and I'm going to start angling and banging away on this Amagi. He's low health, and I'm just going to burn him to death. There, if he was fully loaded with a full salvo, that could have been really bad. You see my compass? I'm turning away, trying to get his shots to avoid me. and I'm just going to keep hammering him with high explosive until he dies. With the Namagi, though, you actually can get through his armor with the 203mm armor piercing, and if he was flat on to me and not angled, I would have used armor piercing. But because he was angled like that, high explosive rounds are the way to go. The Miyogi, the Kongo, the Amagi, and I'm not too sure about the Izumo, but those other ships that I named off, you can get through their belt armor as long as they're not angled with your AP rounds on this ship. Otherwise, spam them with HE and just burn them to death. So now here, then it has 3 caps. I'm telling my team that the force that's with me, we need to immediately push east and either kill these ships and start the cap. We got to make a move right now or we're going to lose the game pretty much. That's what I'm telling my team. We got to push east immediately. So I'm going to continue pushing east and engaging these ships and attempt to kill them and capture that cap point to even up our scores here. This New Orleans I've been duking it out with for the majority of the match. He actually played really well. If you've been paying attention to this New Orleans that I've been fighting, he has been juking left and right, twisting and turning really well. So kudos to him. Here comes the bombers. A tip for the anti-aircraft ability. I believe stock, the Pensacola has an AA range of 5 kilometers. I like to pop my AA ability though when they get at about 3 kilometers, because a lot of times CVs, when they're coming in to attack you with their planes and you hit that ability, they can turn their planes away and wait for your ability to go off cooldown. So I like to get them within about 3 kilometers. They're pretty much committed on their attack run, but it's still close enough that it's going to cause their spread, like you saw there, to shotgun out and ruin their torpedo attack and also destroy all their planes. If you watch any of my other guides as far as target priority, I go for cruisers first, then battleships. But anytime a destroyer gets close, it immediately takes #1 target priority. And if you see in this video several times destroyers have gotten close to me and I immediately switch to them. They're your biggest threat. They can do the most damage to your team. And so anytime a destroyer gets within wherever you feel you can effectively hit him, you need to swap to him and get him dead pronto. And again, make sure you're shooting high explosive at destroyers, because your AP rounds just go right through them and don't really do any damage or no significant damage. It's nothing more frustrating than hitting a destroyer with all of your shots and not doing anything with AP. So here's another battleship I'm going to start slugging it out with. He is right where I want to be. He's near that cap. I want to cap that cap point. Again, paying attention to who's shooting at me and angling. I've avoided the majority of the shots that have been thrown at me in this match so far, just by being really slippery. As you saw, he just fired. Now, just before he fired that salvo, though, I was turning right. And like I said earlier, a lot of cruiser captains will continue the turn. So I turned a little right, and then just a little bit, and then I went hard left to get him to fire a salvo, because a lot of battleships will fire off their salvo expecting you to continue that turn. And so he ended up shooting right because he thought I'd continue the turn. And so just little things like that will greatly increase your survivability, guys, in cruisers in general. This thing of telling about being slippery and not showing your citadels, that goes for pretty much every cruiser in the game. Japanese cruisers, American cruisers, very, very, very important that you don't give targets your flat on broadside. And just because like let's say you're fighting a cruiser and they're shooting HE at you, just because they are, don't think it's okay to turn, because they may switch to AP. And like I said, you not only do not show your citadels when you angle right and are being slippery, but you also you present a smaller target and you're harder to hit, significantly harder to hit. So you saw I control clicked on that plane squad as he's coming down, and I was expecting my AA to kill that lone plane, and my AA didn't down him in time, and he actually almost hit me with his torpedo. Whenever you see torpedo squads coming in, guys, if you hold down control, and then that'll bring up your little mouse cursor in the game, and then left click on the enemy plane squad that you want to focus on, your guns on your ship will focus on that squad. And what that does is it increases your AA ability on that one squad by 1.5 times. So your AA will just focus on him, and it'll give you more DPS on that one squad. Especially handy for American carriers because they have less squads, and often their planes will come in at one squad at a time. With Japanese carriers, I like to select whichever squad has the most planes. So if one squad has 4 and the other one has 2, I like to target the 4 squad one, just to make it easier for me to dodge. Now up here is in Atlanta. Atlantas have a huge amount of DPS within their range, is their big handicap. I know he's not in my range. I can shoot at him right now, but he can't shoot at me. So that's why I slammed on the brakes here, and I just wanted to try to kill him without him being able to shoot back at me. You saw those dive bombers coming in. I know that carrier's over there. He's really close. But I just hit my T ability because I didn't want to get set on fire right now when I'm about to be fighting in Atlanta and possibly get set on fire again by the Atlanta and have my repair ability down. A lot of times with dive bombers, I won't hit the AA ability. It just depends how many there is, the situation. They're really not that big of a threat. It's the torpedo planes that are the huge threat with any ship. So now I'm going to move down here. This has been a great game. I told everybody good game either way, whether we win or lose. They put up a good fight. It was a good fight. A lot of their ships performed really well, but my team just pulled out the big W. So here's the Atlanta, and if you look at the range there, he's in my gun range. He's in his gun range now, so I have to be very careful and maneuver to avoid his shots. Whenever you face an Atlanta, see how he's spamming HE, and I'm hitting him with AP. I'm going to kill him quicker, even though he's got the huge DPS advantage, just because HE kind of takes a bit of time. And another big disadvantage with the Atlanta, he has a really long hang time on his shots, whereas the Pensacola does not. It's easier to hit a maneuvering ship, where he has this really long hang time, and that's why he missed so many shots. So anyways, that's my guide on the Pensacola. I hope everybody enjoyed it. I hope you learned anything, my tips, my tactics, how I play this shit, my thought process in a match, and please subscribe, comment on the forums, comment on the video on YouTube. Hit me up if you have any requests for any other guides you want to see, and I will see you next time. And to the New Orleans Nolans that was in that match, hello, good job, you did great. Alright guys, this is Ironhide X signing off, and I will see you next time.